Hi, everyone. Welcome to the next episode of the Magdalene interview series. I have with me today Zippora Martosoewando. How did I do?
You're very good. That was amazing.
We have a rich conversation today about lineage, about voice, about song, and about Mary Magdalene. And I'm so excited to bring this radiant woman to the conversation today, who's coming to us from the Netherlands, you said, right?
Yes,
Yes.
Amsterdam.
Yes. Oh, so amazing. So before we dive in, I just want to name the intention for this show. This is about, and Zippora said it great in the green room before we went live, that this is about many layers, and one of those layers is that as women step into deeper layers of empowerment, which is something that Mary Magdalene, anyone connected with Mary Magdalene has felt that and has accessed some layer of that. But that it also wakes us up to the realization that there's more work to be done, that we're not done in our women's liberation movement and all the things that we've accomplished. Um, and so that is one of the reasons why this interview series exists. It also exists so that our listeners can get to know the Magdalene. And it also exists because I'm inviting women to come with me in person to go explore the south of France, explore the caves and the ocean side where the Marys arrived on their ship, and explore sacred lands and explore deeper layers of the core of who we are and awakening our ancient roots. And so if that resonates with you in September, we are going. I'd love to connect with you and invite you to come and join us. And without further ado, I'd like to introduce Zippora. Zippora, will you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about who you are and your work in the world?
Yes, I'm Zippora. I work under the name Mockingbird. It's a starting music collective. I come from the field of healing, and that's also where I'm taking these projects that are happening around this collective. Um, they're very rooted down in my ancestry, in uh, who I am, and my own healing process that I've gone through, and I wish to share that. It all evolves around a wish of my own healing to find support, I guess, with other women and in music and other people. And then hoping to share that with people so that they can also find um, inspiration, and also, how to say it, some guidance, I guess, on how to walk uh, a path of healing. Because you have this word healing and it can sound so lightly, but it's not when you really get into it. So it's a safe space, community space to go deeper and to really heal things within ourselves and within the world, because it's not a solitary journey alone.
Yeah, yeah. And you shared that the Magdalene has helped support you in becoming
Mhm.
the fullest expression of yourself. How does that show up for you in your daily life?
How does it show up for me in my daily life? So it 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 helps me to realize that I make choices, and I do that. And no one else can do it for me, and it's my path I'm walking. Um, and that is really tied to my destiny. So I have a divine purpose in this earthly life, and Mary Magdalene has very gracefully yet powerfully pointed that to me, this is the direction, and you can't follow other people in that sense. Like, we are here to learn from each other and to help each other, but we walk our own path. And that gave me a lot of strength that I needed, because it's not always easy. So she was very empowering in her message, and that's the kind of empowerment that gets me through a lot of things.
That's beautiful. I'd love to ask those who are watching, whether you're watching live or you're watching as the replay, do you feel like Mary Magdalene has helped empower you in some capacity to live the fullest expression of your life? And if so, how? We'd love to hear from you too. I also have felt that so so massively, and in some ways, like I feel like Magdalene has called me to abandon things that I thought were a huge part of my identity. And I'm so grateful, but my goodness, it's not always easy, is it? So you had talked about how you were raised with the lineage of healing and energy healing, and that you were taught by your mother. Tell us a little bit about that journey, and then how that maybe shifted into, the vocal and the song and the music element.
So my mother is a masseuse, and I was always, I learned from her how to do it. I gave her the treatments that she needed while she was tending to other people. So there was a lot of responsibility there on my little child's shoulders that I carried, and I did. And I knew how to do it very well. And because from my father's side, my great grandmother, she was also a healer. So I had it through both my bloodlines, basically. And but my mother also always sang. So my voice, I was always singing, and that was my happy place. Like, through everything, through whatever difficulty there was, that was always the place for me to come to myself and to really learn who I am. And that was quite a big journey for me. Like, I even didn't sing for a while because I went through a lot emotionally, and but at some point, like, luckily, because we were already in the healing area, my mother is a very strong woman, and she always guides people towards following their heart. So she really also helped me with guiding me, and my heart is in music, and I chose to even though I was far from being a good musician or whatever, that was my calling. My name means bird, so I always I always knew in what what I identify with, that I had to sing. So that's what I started doing about 2 years ago, that I decided, okay, I'm going to make this into my business. I'm going to stop massaging people because that drained me. And I started, singing and writing songs. Yeah.
Wow. And how was that with your mother? How did that go? Like, was it okay for you to set down um massage and stuff, or was that challenging because that was what you were trained in, or how has that been?
I think the biggest challenge was that I got a an income from massaging, and I didn't know how to do it any other way. But it gradually, also with my father passing away, there became quite a bigger, like, spiritual consciousness that got stronger. Like, I think my own intuition and my spirituality got stronger with my father's passing. And then there came projects my way that I could enter in that were very related to my ancestry. Actually, very, like, specifically, they were about enslavement songs. So actually freedom songs that came from the times of slavery, which is something that both of my parents carry, that kind of trauma with them. So these songs, they helped me to break free from the way I was still enslaving myself.
Wow.
To thinking like what I wasn't worthy of living. Yeah.
Wow.
So through like that, like it was so like crystal clear how this healing process worked actually in this way.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, that's how music, like that's how healing music can be.
Thank you
Yeah.
so much for sharing that. I like it begs so many questions. Like as much as you're
Mhm.
willing to share, like can you share a little bit about like where did your father come from? Where did your mother come from? And a little bit about your ancestral lineage, and also then how you ended up in the Netherlands. Like there's so many questions.
So both of my parents are from Suriname. Suriname is in South America, and it used to be a colony of the Netherlands. So the Netherlands had the um I'm not well, I think the UK had the biggest slave trade, but the Netherlands, they were like following right there. Like they had a lot of colonies, also Indonesia. So my father's lineage is from Indonesia. His great grandparents came from Indonesia, and they were shipped to Suriname. And this was actually after slavery officially was abolished. But so they brought them in as under the name of I I think it has a different name in English, but in Dutch it's like contract workers. So it was under a contract, but it, like, we know that my great grandmother, she was taken. So we know, and she was really young. So it wasn't a
It wasn't a work contract. It was
it yeah. And then my mother is very mixed. She has so African descent, and her great grandmother has more Jewish descent because there were a lot of Jewish people in Suriname that owned the plantations.
wow.
And then we have some, more Asian, like Chinese. There is indigenous, South American indigenous within us. So it's a big mix of all these people that came together there in the jungle, because Suriname is still jungle. Let's see. So yeah, that was the question, right?
And then when did they end up in Amsterdam, your
Yeah.
family?
How did they end up in Amsterdam? My mother, her father already was he worked in the he was an engineer on a big ship, so he already sailed from South America to Amsterdam, and like he did that a lot. He's been everywhere in the Caribbean and the States. And then,
Father, you said?
sorry,
That was your father, you said?
this was my grandfather on my mother's side.
Okay, okay. Uh-huh.
So there was already connection with the Netherlands, and I think at some point my mother's grandmother lived in Amsterdam, and my mother's mother passed away. So she went to live with her grandmother in Amsterdam when she was 10, 11 years old. So she spent like part of her childhood in Suriname and part of her childhood in the Netherlands. And then my father came, I think, I'm not completely sure about it, but there is a point where the Netherlands and Suriname, like Suriname got independence from the Netherlands, and there were a lot of people that moved to the Netherlands, and some people stayed in Suriname. Just like you could have this decision, like you either get a Dutch citizenship or you get a Suriname citizenship. So people could make this decision, and I think that's what happened to my father's family, but it might not be that case. But it was around this time that they came, and they were a big family of like 12 siblings, poor, and then they came to the Netherlands, and that's where my father, lived from his 14th, and then my parents met in Amsterdam.
Wow. So when you learned healing from your mother, was that
Mhm.
something that she learned from her ancestral lineage, or was that something that she rediscovered for herself?
I think she rediscovered it for herself. Like she's highly spiritual. She has really deep connection with her indigenous grandmothers. She has visions. Um, so she can see through people, and that's, I think, how she got into that. Yeah.
Wow. And
Yeah.
you had mentioned this, being a child of diaspora, which you literally just laid out
Mhm.
that for
Mhm.
us. I'm so curious, like, did that like in people that I've spoken with, I've heard the term third culture kid, which is somewhat similar, but I mean this is like so many lineages and trauma found in that. And did you have a sense of like, or do you still have a
Yeah.
sense of like, where do I come from? Or like which culture from? Like how do I relate? I'm so curious how that, has felt for you.
I don't have that anymore. I used to, maybe more. I chose at some point to travel the world. So I spend a lot of time in Indonesia. I spend a lot of time in South America.
Wow.
Um, and that really helped me realize that I am, and that's also what helps me in my healing processes now, and what I write songs and sing songs about, how connected I just am to Mother Earth, and that I am just a human on Mother Earth, and is that is my home. Even though I always stay very connected to Amsterdam, because I do love this city a lot. Because it's not a rare thing. Like I'm not a rarity in Amsterdam. Really, Amsterdam is incredibly multicultural. So yeah, and we are all like, we can align and we can find ourselves. There's humanity, and that's it. And yeah.
That's beautiful. At what point did Mary Magdalene come into your journey? And like, what has that felt like or looked like for you?
Hmm. Um. I was in. I I grew up quite Roman Catholic in the south of the Netherlands. And we went to a church always. It was like our home. There are a lot of like bad things had happened, so my mother and I, we took refuge kind of in this church. It was a really ancient church. It was built on an um, already pagan sacred space. We also sang in the choir, and um, the the atmosphere of this place, it was very Mother Mary oriented.
Mhm.
So um, and that's like we sort of were under these wings of Mother Mary, protected. Yeah, the Mary girl. And then there there was a point, I think, within cat like Roman Catholicism, that a lot of things like came out about yeah, really horrible stories of what happens. I did not, within this church, luckily, experience anything like that. I feel like, looking back on it, how I feel like this place was actually really sacred, because of the energy that was simply there. Um,
Mhm.
but then the Da Vinci Code came out, and I know this is such like, I know how commercial this is, but like, still, this was the time when everyone started talking about that. So all around me, and I was about a teenager, I was quite young, and people were talking about Mary Magdalene. They were talking about her a lot, and I didn't like. I was interested in it, and I saw the Da Vinci Code, and I was interested. I was like, okay, what is this? Like, it intrigued me. And then years passed by, and at some point, I was at this. I found my way to a Mary Magdalene initiation with oil. Like, it just sort of happened. Someone, and then I was like, okay, let's go there. Let's see this. I felt it, and then I got initiated into her practice with oils. And that's just how that happened. And it was like a bit like, okay. But I feel like even though I've been very in depth also, reading about her and learning about her, I feel like the real connection, where I felt like she actually started talking to me, was like, not was just a couple of months ago, actually.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I would love to ask you more about that, but I want to pause for a minute and
Yeah.
point out some of the things you said, like the chapel or cathedral that you worshiped at being
Mhm.
built on a
Mhm.
pagan site, which we know
Mhm.
is very common across
Mhm.
many many
Mhm.
places, and I
Mhm.
think that's it for me. That's a big draw for this Magdalene pilgrimage that we're leading. I didn't know that at first, and I thought, well, when I go, I'm going to go to caves and stuff. I'm not going to go to cathedrals.
Yeah.
And then when I learned, it's like, oh, and when you learn about the Black Madonnas and you learn
Yeah.
these things, it's like, oh, there's something different here. And
Mhm.
so that was so beautiful. I just wanted to point that out for our listeners in case
Mhm.
you didn't know that that's a thing. Um,
Mhm.
and then and then this piece about Da Vinci Code, like I don't think that it's cheesy at all. I think like for so many of us that find the
Yeah.
Magdalene, you get this teensy hint and it
Yeah.
whispers like there's more to this person
Mhm.
ever could have known.
Mhm.
And I know for me, like it wasn't conscious, but it was like a, and that means there's more to you than you could ever possibly know. Like,
Yeah.
for me, Mary Magdalene has always been a mirror in that way, where
Mhm.
it's like, wait, what are we, where are we underestimating this person? And therefore,
Mhm.
where am I underestimating
Mhm.
myself?
Mhm. Mhm.
Relate to that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. So, okay, so you've had this initiation, you've had some really cool synchronicities and some curiosities, and then you've read lots of books and things. But you said a few months ago you felt like something really shifted. I'd love to hear more about that, whatever you feel comfortable.
Um, of course, there was a man involved.
Oh, I like this story already.
But it's not as romantic as you would think. Like, because yeah, it shifted. Like, it put me in this mode of where, okay, there are some parts I have to heal here. I'm not ready for this. There are some things that need to, I didn't know exactly what, like maybe mentally, but I couldn't really like hold it, you know? I couldn't hold space for what that would mean. Like, yeah. So I I did a lot of meditation and breathing and working also with anxiety that I have from past trauma. So I was breathing into it and meditating, and then at some point it was a vision actually, and I saw this was basically God. It was just pure light, and then Mary Magdalene was right there, like in that light, basically. And then Christ and the masculine was there, but it wasn't important. That was what it said. It was. It's so clear. Like it was just, yeah, but like focus on yourself. And that was the clear message that she gave me. And that was all. Like a lot of these things are simple, but yeah, you can get
so profound.
swept away by things, but it's super profound. And that it's like, it was to go into a deeper realization also, because this is about value. So she is basically, it showed me that she was not like, she never had to prove herself like we are trying maybe, or like we had to try to prove like what she means or what we mean in this world or in relation to a man. She was always there on like, she was the same power as Jesus Christ. Like she never had to prove herself to be on that same level. Like she's there in the light. And that
Wow.
was also like what that message was for me. Like you can just simply connect to that light and shine in that light and not like think, we can get so caught up in relationships and try to think what 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 does this mean, or what does that mean, or whatever. But when we are just in our light, that's a different state of being.
Wow. That is so, so profound and beautiful. And yeah, I don't hear enough people speak to, like, Magdalene carries this medicine around intimacy, around
Mhm.
like sacred union, around
Mhm.
like the connection that can happen between souls. But then what's so powerful and profound, and you're not the first person that has said this, and that's also been my
Mhm.
experience, that it's also about union in our own soul. Like,
Mhm.
I love that the message was you get to just focus on yourself and you don't have to prove. Man,
Mhm.
I suck at that. I have a prove, like, I wake
Mhm.
up like the breath is prove, everything is prove.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
I'm like in that stage where I'm like, well, I see it. I don't know what
Mhm.
else to do.
Mhm.
And I'm just
Mhm.
trusting the process. So that
Yeah.
was so, like, what you just spoke and what you received was also medicine to my soul. So thank you for sharing. And again, to those of you who are watching, we'd love to hear in the comments, like, how did that land for you, this piece around you don't have to prove, and Mary Magdalene being such a poignant example of that. Like, yeah, she never tried to shine him up, as far as the records and things that we have. Like, there was no I'm woman, hear me roar. And there, when you look at, like, when you kind of step into that very spiritual, zoomed out perspective, I, as much as I hate some of the things that have happened in our world, I also don't believe things happen by accident. Like, I
Mhm.
don't believe that the universe is surprised when, tragedies happen or when things go wrong. And so when I look at the erasure of Mary Magdalene, of her power, of her voice, of like the reality of who she was and everything, I'm like, I don't understand why. but I also don't believe it was an accident or some kind of coincidence. And so to be with that, and therefore same with women, all women, like, and what we have been through in various capacities, there's not an accident to it. I don't understand why we have to deal with cruelty, or why we have had to deal with such disgusting power dynamics. But I also think it's incredible to imagine that Mary Magdalene has actually been in her power the whole time.
Mhm. Mhm.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly that.
Zippora, you have poured such medicine into this field, into these conversations. I am truly grateful for you for being willing to share your story and being willing to share the stories of your ancestors. And you honor them, I know, by being willing to share, where they've come from and the journey that they have traveled. And even more so, you honor them. Like, I feel that so deeply in reconnecting to them through song. And I feel like there's so much power in what you're stepping into. I'm like, oh, I can't wait to see where you are in 10 years. Like, holy moly.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And thank you for this opportunity. Like, yeah, I also learn and reflect a lot, so it helps me in this journey for sure.
You shared, we've talked about a bit through this this element for women healers, that the importance that there's more work for us to do. And
Mm-hmm.
I would love to ask you, like, what is, like, if you could leave a final message with us today, what do you think is the most important thing that we can be doing?
I think it's the most important thing is to connect to the earth. It's as simple as that. To to our mother, there is a desire that she also has for harmony on this earth, and for us to connect to her amplifies and empowers that, makes it stronger. So connect to our earth, connect to her, and work from there, and always be in touch with your heart's desire, which you can have desire that's very earthly, and we are here to enjoy that, and to let, like, become in this life, because that's also God, like, that's divinity, to be in this life. And yeah, what I said, empowerment is being.
Thank you so much. It reminds me of, that awareness that you spoke to earlier in your own journey of, like, I'm a child of this whole humanity. Like,
Mhm.
I think that dropping into that is so, so powerful and so beautiful. And like you said too, at the same time, holding that, and also holding the lineages and the reality of the cultures, and also the suffering, and also the differences. Like, it's so
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you for who you are. Thank you for sharing with us today.
Thank you
And
so much.
thank you to those of you who have watched with us today. If you only are catching us now at the end, please go back, watch it from the beginning. Zippora shared amazing stories with us today. And we'll see you all again next time on the Magdalene interview series.